Welcome back, Halo followers. Recently, I was looking through Halo Infinite concept art, and I realized that there is actually a lot we have not discussed on this channel regarding future Halo Infinite campaign DLC. There is stuff in Halo Infinite's trailers that we've all already seen that has not been used in the actual game now that we've played it. Have not seen it yet, and also there's some implications of what is going to happen in part 2 of this story on Zeta Halo, whether that's going to be some campaign DLC, which we're going to talk about first, and it may be a sequel, whatever comes next in the story of Master Chief, but the implication of what is happening now is pretty obvious, obviously, right? We have the weapon, we have Master Chief and the pilot on a Pelican, starting basically a new, fresh adventure with each other, right? As kind of like a family of sorts. And now we have to find out what the heck is going on with Offensive Bias because he was just deployed at the end of Halo Infinite's legendary ending. And we also have to figure out what the hell the Endless are. We even heard that the Endless are more dangerous than the Flood, which is pretty big statement. I'm not sure if that's true or if 343 is actually going to be able to convince the player of a narrative of that actually being true, but I guess we'll see. Firstly, I want to talk about Offensive Bias. Offensive Bias is a Foreigner AI, and it was actually used to take down Mendicant Bias, which is another AI that betrayed the Foreigners a long time ago and sided with the Flood. So it's interesting that we have Master Chief fighting a variation of very large and very dangerous looking Sentinels. At first, I thought maybe one of these were Offensive Bias, which we know no longer looks like any of these, right? But we do know from the trailer that we got a couple years ago that Master Chief in the dark was looking at something with 3 red beady eyes, which looks a whole lot like Mendicant Bias, or specifically this Sentinel in the concept art. So just some food for thought. It could be Mendicant Bias that we do encounter and maybe ally with in the future game or campaign DLC. There is reasons to believe that there is no campaign DLC happening. We really haven't heard anything about it, and plus 343 is really behind schedule. It looks like they are wildly understaffed, and there's been leads leaving. There's just a lot of cause for concern right now. With that being said, these images do have the implication that Master Chief is going to be finding Offensive Bias at some point in the future of the story. Now, just remember the nature of these concept art images for any game or movie or whatever is that it could be either cut content, maybe something that will show up in the future, something that will be, is on the back burner, but it's going to show up later, or maybe it's something that was supposed to be there, but was cut and will never show its face again. However, considering the Infinity is such a big part of, 343's Halo, I have to imagine that they're going to answer the question soon, because at this point, Chief has got on his feet, the Cortana thing is concluded, now they are starting this new adventure, trying to figure out who the Endless are and what has happened to the Infinity, right? There's got to be some kind of conclusion. And that's a huge question mark in Halo Infinite's story. All we know is that the Infinity gets beat up pretty bad, but we don't even know if it crash lands. But there are several images that show it basically mirroring Halo 1 with the Pillar of Autumn, that the Infinity crashes down onto Zeta Halo, which would make a lot of sense, honestly, because it is getting beat up pretty bad in the first cutscene. Now, there is this concept art image where we see the Infinity heading down and then crashing down onto the surface of Zeta Halo. Now, you've maybe already seen this one. I've talked about it a couple months ago. Maybe you haven't seen it, but essentially this makes me think that this was an idea that 343 just scrapped because it wasn't important to the mainline story, but will be in part 2 of whatever happens after Halo Infinite, right? So, yes, now I want to talk about these new images that show the Infinity crashed and of course taken over by nature, right? With vines and plants growing all over it, which is such a cool concept, by the way. Love these images. Shows the Pelican here flying over the Infinity, which is, just covered, taken out, completely absent of any life besides plants, I mean, it's just a very cool idea that the Master Chief would go back here and figure out what the heck happened. It is a very promising concept. It really does remind me of Halo 1 with the Pillar of Autumn, completely mirroring, actually, Halo 1. So, of course, I think the sequel or whatever comes next after Halo Infinite is more Zeta Halo stuff, right? Hopefully we see more biomes than just this alpine stuff, because honestly, it gets boring pretty fast. I want to see some desert. I want to see some snow. In fact, the Infinity covered up by snow would be really cool as well, as we fight through banished forces to get inside and figure out if there's any allies left, or if they've all scattered, or maybe probably the banished have taken over the Infinity. I mean, they already took it over in space, and why would they not be gunning it right now? Why it's been sitting here full of supplies, full of metals, and, you know, other kind of riches that the banished could use. So yeah, anyone left here is probably dead or a prisoner. It makes me think about, where is Blue Team? Where is Locke? What about Thomas Lasky being the head of the Infinity? What about the thousands of ODSTs that, you know, were on the Infinity last time we checked in Shadows of Reach? I mean, there is a lot of people, or were a lot of people on the Infinity. So where did they all go? Did they all die? Were there any drop pods that were spread out throughout the Infinity, which we saw a little bit of? It looks like most of them have been wiped out. But I do think that there is some hope that Locke is still alive. Sarah Palmer might still be alive somewhere, and as well as the other cast that we've gotten so used to. I hope that 343 hasn't just got rid of all these characters, because I think it's a rather lazy thing. Every time they make a new plot line and people don't like it, they just kill them all off, which I think would be kind of a disservice here. I do like how they have kept us wondering as to the status of most of the Infinity. Well, maybe besides that one scene where we see most of them are dead, but still, we don't really know exactly who is gone here. So, because I think that the concept is really, really promising. We also have this concept art image where Atriox has basically knocked Chief on his ass here. I mean, beat up here. I wonder if this all happens again in some cave or somewhere else, like how Chief got defeated by him in the first cutscene of Halo Infinite. I really want to see Atriox's layers of character coming out, because I really don't feel like he's been fleshed out the way that a major villain should be. I do like how Atriox and his home planet of the Brutes were destroyed by Cortana. It gives him a motivation to actually kill Master Chief, because he knows how close Master Chief was with Cortana. But, you know, anyway, I think that it's all an interesting story arc, and I would love for them to actually enter a dialogue with each other at some point in the next game. Well, anyways, guys, you let me know your own thoughts about this down in the comment section below. I think that we should be looking forward to something here, and I think just kind of dwelling on all the things wrong with Halo right now doesn't really inspire a happy life. So I want to be more positive. I want to focus on the good things, and these concept art images do have me pretty excited about the future of Halo. So yeah, you let me know down in the comment section below what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one soon. All right, you take care. Peace.